All right, good morning, Warren. Got your swings from the other day. In comparison with Mike Trout, very similar body posture or swing setups. In this replay, Mike Trout, we're going to have him starting at the top of his leg kick. So I'll start my analysis really in depth with that once we get there, but just for you. So please bring your attention to up top for you. Let's look and just make sure, remember what your job is, that when you go back, or not back, when you gather, right? When you gather, all right, this is gather, this is load. Gather, load. Gather your body, load your hands, and flow into your front foot, etc. Same thing with Mike Trout. Right now, he's already gathered, right? He's gathered his body. He gets real tight, and then he's going to load, right? And now heel strike, he's now loaded, ready to spring into action and whip that bat through the zone. All right? So talking about your gather, remember we're always focusing on this back foot, all right? And making sure that your body is going to rotate, your body's going to rotate around that back foot, right? You should look like it's rotating around, all right? A little bit, as much as possible. For each hitter, it's going to look a little bit different, right? So for somebody that doesn't have a lot of hip mobility and flexibility, you may not be able to allow your hips to come around your leg as much as somebody else, which is perfectly fine. We're all different human beings. It's cool. But just making sure that no matter what your maximum is, that's where you personally need to be, all right? That being said, into that load, all right, so let's bring our attention down to Mike Trout's hip here, and you'll see, okay, you see that his hip is already tucked. It may look like when you watch him hit that he just picks his foot up and puts it back down. He does not do that, right? He's actually coiling. You can tell by where that hip is, okay? So as Mike Trout comes forward, he actually holds that angle into his heel strike. So his heel is right into the ground, roughly right there, okay? If you look at his angle and his posture, is pretty good, all right? You notice that even though he did have coil, right, his right hip is still, all intents and purposes, still tucked towards the catcher. And even more so, you see the belt buckle is still pointing a little bit towards the catcher, which means he's not opening up. He's not losing power, keeping himself tight, okay? Hands still back, hips are still coiled even into his load. From this position, you'll see, then he'll unrelease those hips. You see his belt buckle move, and now you see by the time he's at contact how far his belt buckle has rotated. I hope you see that. Belt buckle, all right, top of his load, into his front foot. He's still staying tight, not opening up. Once that front foot hit, he explodes, knee first, and then you see that belt buckle, which means his hips are exploding through the ball that are now pulling that bat, and that's the kind of synchronization you want to have as a hitter. Now moving up top to you, sir, let's see what you got. Okay, so coil's not terrible. All right, not the best angle to see that, but I'll give you the benefit of the doubt here, okay? Hands don't move, which is good, all right? What I would just say and be conscious of is when you start your swing, let's see, make sure we're good, make sure you keep your elbows the same angle, and that's what's called turn the barrel, all right? If I were to undo this with Mike Trout and just show you, the triangle I'm talking about is the space between your elbows and your forearms up to your hand positioning. So for Mike Trout, you'll see roughly that's his triangle. If I was able to draw on yours would look something like this, okay? Roughly. Now, obviously, different angles, and that's okay. Just make sure that that's how you turn. If I were to go down, let's take a look at Mike Trout. Once he starts turning, you'll notice his angles don't change. I will clear everything so you can see. Each point, I can draw a triangle. Right? That's one triangle. Okay, still there. Let's do a different color so you can see. A little rough. Let me undo that one. Alright, let's go something like this. Might be a little easier. Roughly. Two. Oh, sorry. So first triangle. Second triangle. I'll clear it so you can see. The third triangle, I mean, I hope you can see that right there. I mean, literally, throughout his swing, he keeps that triangle. Okay. So each one of these triangles just represents what he does. And that's why Mike Trout is so good at hitting the baseball. And that's what we call staying tight as a hitter. We want to make sure that wherever your elbows are, right? This is a personal preference. But when you start in your stance, once you get to the top of your gather and you go to load at heel strike, once your heel strikes, wherever your hands are at, that's from that position, you just want to turn yourself into that baseball. Turn. Literally, you're going to turn your back hip, your back shoulder. You're turning everything into that baseball. As you can see, turns, 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 and stays flat and through. Okay? Keep that in mind. Go up here to you. And again, you get a little pushy with your hands. You see how you're a little, this. You want to get away from this movement right here. This movement, it may be efficient to put the ball in play, but you're robbing yourself of power, right? Because hitting is both linear and rotational, okay? But at the same, your bat, you're going to be rotational, how you generate power, but you want to keep your energy linear. So you want where like your energy to go is towards that pitcher, but you want that energy to be driven by being rotational, okay? So again, I'm going to clear, all right? Sorry about that. That's my laundry. But again, you'll notice that Mike Trout is actually going to turn around the center of his axis, okay? So, or axis, excuse me. So I'm going to see if I can put a yellow line down the middle of his head. Sorry. Roughly, okay? And you'll see that as he goes, right, goes into his load at heel strike, and he actually rotates almost around that line, if that makes sense. Doesn't go anywhere. Rotates around that line and stays short and compact. So when we're talking about compact, it's not really about, yes, I don't want you to cast. It's not so much your bat angle more than how you swing that bat. Okay? So making sure that you are trying to rotate around your spine. By staying through. You rotate around your spine, your back leg, you rotate around it, and you stay through. Okay? If you don't do that, yes, you may put the ball in play, but you'll be robbing, doing this right here, you're going to rob yourself of a little bit of power. Okay? So your objective is to sync yourself up. If you bring our attention back down to Mike Trout, you'll see the minute his foot lands, it looks like his entire, I'll see if I can scribble it out for you. Okay, but it looks like we are scribble out his front side. All right. It looks like he literally swings from the back, right? So he's here and gone. Front side's not moving at all, but you see how active that back side is. We are staying tall. He's not dipping down. I do want you to pay attention to that. You see how up top, I know we're bouncing back and forth here. I do apologize. You see up top, your back shoulder is dropping. All right. I mean, sorry, your posture, you're getting kind of tight like you're wearing a straitjacket. You want to make sure you stay loose in that box. All right, your adjustments need to be made sooner than this, and that way you aren't having to push your hands. When you start pushing your hands, you're taking away for your ability to not only, like I've said, hit the ball for power, hit the ball hard, but also with adjustability. Okay? So again, look down on Mike Trout. You'll see how his stays on plane, and he's staying through that ball, and he's synced up, right? His hips, hands, all that is coming at the same time, going around. It's like shooting a basketball. It'd be very hard to shoot a basketball if like your elbow went to the right, out to the side, and then your wrist went to the left, and then you tried to shoot the ball up. But if your elbow is up first, right, and then your elbow is in a straight line with your wrist, follows your hand, and you follow through, it's a little bit easier. So for your swing, that's what I'm talking about, to make sure you want to, this entire piece. So I'm going to see if I can freehand it for you, but your entire backside wants to move in one piece. That's what you want. When it's time to go, you don't want to have any indecision, right? Oh man, the ball is here, so my hand's got to be here, my elbow has to be here. Nope. All you need to think about is, hey, the ball is here, and you want to get that backside on plane as soon as possible, right? As soon as possible. Not just moving your body, but the back too, okay? Same thing with Mike Trout. You'll see instantly, he says, hey, I want to hit this ball. You'll notice instantly everything goes at the same time, backside, and stays connected. The word of the day for you will be connected. Now, I'm going to clear everything last little bit before this video gets way too long. Okay, make sure, when you go into your heel strike, okay, for me, watching your swing, your stride, I know this is just soft toss, so in the game or for batting practice, it may be a little bit different, but I didn't see that when your mom sent me the clip of you hitting the other day. You want to make sure you want to give yourself time to stretch out. Okay? I'm not asking you to be like, stretch yourself out to where you're not balanced, but if you take a look at Mike Trout, top of his leg kick, okay, when he picks his foot up and strides, you'll see his weight's not going anywhere, but his foot is out there, right? A little bit. He's in a great spot. Athletic position, he's in his legs, center of gravity, good to go. All right? For you, sir, you're a little bit too tall. So when you come forward, I need you to remember this section here, your hips, they need to, as you move forward, you need to make sure these hips drop down. By the time your foot hits, you want these hips to be moving down. And the reason why that's important is so you don't have to make your adjustments with your bat. If you notice up here, I'm going to draw the red line. Up there, your bat instantly starts going like too steep to where you're like this, right? Your bat instantly is always doing this. Instead of your bat, remember you're supposed to be doing, do this one, this way. All right, I'm going to just undo everything so you can see again. So your hips have got to go down. First and foremost, your hips, your center of gravity goes down, and that way you set up your body for a better bat positioning. That way, if the pitch is low, again, you don't have to be so quick to, I'm going to clear everything. You won't be so quick to let this bat get lost. And what lost means is basically right there. End of the day, yes, pretty good swing staying through. We'll get there, but I want you to be flat through the zone. Look at Mike Trout. Okay, his bat is flat. If I were able to draw a line on Mike Trout, his bat, it will be in this area. Okay, it looked like that. Here. Flat, right? So that's what he's trying to do, is flatten that bat out as he stays on plane with the pitch, okay? Whereas your bat, you can already tell your bat, buddy, you're a little bit too steep, okay? You're a tad bit too steep with your bat, so you'll instantly tilt it too quickly. Now again, we're splitting hairs here, but you want to make sure you're as flat as possible through that zone, not swinging up, okay? But that being said, last little bit, you did this particular swing, all right? I picked the best one I could find. This particular swing, this is what I want to see you do every single time, all right? You hit it. I want you to pay attention to your hands. You are palm up, palm down, Good. I mean, my arrow's in the way, but now you roll over. Fantastic job. That's how you're supposed to stay through a ball, kid. You hit it, And look at those hands. Palm up. I'm going to clear so you can see. Palm up. Right there. Pretty good job of continuing to stay through that ball. Every single time. If you see your bat in a straight line, wherever that pitch is, you know you did something right. You stayed through that ball. That's why I picked this. And now you're up and out. So a pretty good job. So last little bit of checklist, just to make sure we're on the same page here. Make sure that when you go, you're always trying to coil around that back foot, that back leg. You hold that coil into your front foot. Don't allow your hips to open up prematurely. Once that front foot hits, you want to turn into that baseball without allowing that bat to start dropping on you. Okay? If you look up here, look at Mike Trout, the bat is still above his hands, above his shoulder, above his shoulder, above his shoulder, above his shoulder still, above his shoulder, and it's flat. He's flat. That's why pro hitters are pro hitters, is because we figure out a way to, hey, make your bat flat through the zone as long as possible, not having the barrel go straight up like we've talked about. You want to make sure that barrel travels through, okay, travels through the pitch, through, versus having your barrel go this way. Yellow is wrong. We'll say for this particular one, red is correct. This is where you want your bat to be at all times. This way. All right? Give yourself a chance to hit. If you're late with your barrel on the red line, you can go down to right field. If you're on time, center field, and if you're early, maybe left center. But if you're going to yellow, you have such a short amount of time. You have to be perfect to hit this ball. Okay? That's number one. And number two, just to make sure you understand, when you stride forward, you must lower your center of gravity, all right? Not only to help your bat out to make those adjustments if it's a low pitch, right, but also to raise that low pitch. And remember, that ball is always going to travel down. The pitcher's throwing on a tall mound. The average pitch height in the major leagues is 6'7". So that pitcher is going to release that ball at 6 feet 7 inches tall. So you know it's going to drop down. So it would be great just to remember that as that ball is coming, you're preparing to hit. As you go forward, that head has got to lead to, right? So again, when you spat this up and clear it, your headline, this last one I'm going to do for you, buddy. Your headline is here, roughly, okay? When you drop down, you want your head to be like more than that. Because right now, this is the movement that you made. I mean, that's too much. Whereas that, make sure that according to the pitch height. Now, obviously, if the pitch is high, you don't have to drop way down your legs. But this pitch that you hit was where at your knees, and you'll see how if you drop your center of gravity down, your hips down, lower yourself, that ball won't be at your knees. It might go from being here to being here. Sorry. And that's the difference between maybe hitting a single or hitting a double, rolling over, grounding out, and hitting a line drive, is putting your body in the best position prior to your front foot hitting. Once you're here, all you can do is react. So prior, as you pick that foot up, and when you go forward, make sure you lower yourself, your center of gravity. Ride that backside. We call flow, F-L-O-W. Flow into that front foot, and then snap to the ball by turning that triangle like we talked about. All right, buddy, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to shoot me a text, give me a call. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you soon.